as a Black woman living in this very complex yet beautiful world, there can be many demands that are placed on us. And we have to try to find ourselves in the midst of the chaos. Slowness can feel as though it's a luxury, something that we are not afforded, something that we may be even told is not for us. So we have to be intentional, purposeful in choosing slowness for ourselves, whether it's for moments, days, or we've created a slow lifestyle where each moment has purpose, has meaning, where we're mindful, intentional, at peace. I think that when it comes to slowness, there can be this perception that there has to be a sitting meditative practice in order to achieve that. But I'm learning more and more that slowness is really life that moves at your own rhythm and your own pace. It doesn't have to be what the world presses upon you or what the world tells you that you should do and how you should do it. And sometimes being slow means trying to figure out who you are. Everything, every moment is connecting with yourself, listening to yourself, knowing what your body's telling you, and embracing rest. I learn more and more that my slow life can most definitely have a meditative practice in it. But more importantly, it's about being present in each and every moment. Whether it's washing the dishes, taking a shower, washing my face, sitting down, playing with Gizmo, watching television. Each and every action is me choosing myself, choosing how I want to show up, not for other people, not for society, but for me. In December of 2025, I consciously, intentionally said, I want to live a slower paced life. Or at the very least, I want to carve out time where I'm intentionally being slow. Now, when I said that to myself, you would think that I knew what that would look like or what that meant. I had to plan it as I was executing it, kind of like building the plane as it's flying type of process. I work a job that is physically demanding as well as mentally demanding. Not to mention that it's 10 hours. My work day is a 10-hour day, but it's really a 12 to sometimes 14-hour day with travel, and sometimes I have to run errands after work. So really half of the day I'm gone and working and ripping and running and doing all of these things that I'm trying to get done before I come home. I don't have a lot of the demands of motherhood the way that I used to. I have an adult daughter and I have a daughter that does not live with me full time. But there was a period of time in my life where that role of being a mom was also very demanding. And honestly, a lot of those demands I placed on myself, to be honest and truthful, thinking that there was not even so much wanting to keep up with other people, but wanting this certain type of life and wanting to make sure that my children had as much access and opportunity as possible. And so doing all these things to make sure that they're these well-rounded people that go out into society, that was a lot of demand. And then there are other pockets of my life that feel demanding as well, but those are not as consistent. Right now, the work is the thing that's physically demanding. And for a period of time, my business really demanded a lot out of me, but I was placing those demands on myself. I became more intentional of choosing a softer, slower life and making time for that slowness. When I would get home before, I would take a shower, get on the couch, and just crash. My body would just, like, I would be a puddle on the couch. The weekends feel more spacious to me when it comes to slowing down. Because I work long hours, I have a 4-day week, so I have 3 days off. And originally, in those 3 days, man, I would jam pack stuff in those 3 days. Friday was used for running errands and doing all the things that I could get done during the week that I can't do during the weekend, or that I couldn't do during the week because when I would get off of work, I would be so tired, or trying to make sure that I get home in enough time so that I can get some sleep because I have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I realized that I was scared to slow down. I was scared of it because I knew that once I slowed down, even though I've been in therapy, even though I had been doing these spiritual practices for years, just well-worn groove of meditation, I think there was a lot of spiritual bypassing that was going on because I knew that once I slowed down, all of those emotions that I had been running away from would start to catch up to me. And I had said, you know what? I don't know. And the emotion that I knew would be more prevalent was grief. And man, when I tell you, I knew that that beast was going to come quick. And I said, let me avoid it as much as I possibly can, or at least try to control or temper the amount that I would be able to slow down so that I could dial up or dial down how much access I would have to that grief, because I really did not want to open up that door, let me tell you. When I really took a step back, I realized that I've been going since I was in my 20s. I've continually been either trying to figure something out. What's the next thing? What should I do here? Fixing this, or working on me here, or trying to tend to this relationship here. There was always something in addition to having a job and going to school and just running a business, all of these things that people could see tangibly, but then also a lot of that internal continual motion and continual running. It just was I'm stumbling over my words because I'm realizing how exhausted I was. I knew that I felt tired and I knew that I felt exhausted, but I didn't know what the root of it was. I didn't understand where it was coming from. But the moment that I said, pump the brakes, it all became very, very clear. So I started first with the weekends. I started saying to myself, okay, how can I make a slower weekend? One day I woke up, and I naturally wake up early because obviously during the week I get up early. I don't get up at 3 o'clock on my own, but I would get up pretty early before the sun would rise. And sometimes I would, particularly at the beginning of this job that I have, I would make myself a cup of coffee, or I'd do some things. I'd maybe do some laundry, just slowly getting myself up and ready for the day. And by noon or 11 o'clock, I was pretty much done with whatever it is that I had to do. And then I would try to kind of find something to do. Maybe I'd go somewhere and be like, oh, let me go here. Let me explore this and explore the city and do some random things. But there was one day in particular where I got up and I was laying in bed and I just felt I love my bed. I love my bed so much. And I didn't want to get out of bed. And it's not because I was feeling depressed. I was just enjoying the cocoon of my bed and the sheets. They were so crisp and just felt so good wrapped around me. And I said, I could stay in here. I don't have to get up. Who says that I have to get up right now? There was nothing that I needed to do. There was nothing that was pressing. So I said, why not just take some more time? When the sun came up, I did get up to open the blinds, and then I got back in the bed and I just laid in bed. I wasn't on my phone. I didn't have a book. I just stared out the window, and there were birds that were flying around, and I was listening to the birds chirp, and some people were hustling and bustling and moving around. And so I was listening to that, but I was just looking out of the window, and I don't remember how long I was doing that for, but it was long enough that I remember when I got up and I looked at the clock on the or the time on my oven, I was like, oh, I've been in bed for a minute. But I didn't even recognize the progression of the sun as I was laying there and as I was watching the sun rise and it get brighter and brighter. I was immersed in that, but I wasn't thinking about that in relation to time. That experience of just laying in bed and peacefully listening to the sounds of nature and taking a moment to slowly move through the day and slowly get up, it was beautiful. So then the challenge became, how can I incorporate this slowness during my weekday? I began to change and tweak my morning routine by doing things out of the sequence that I normally did. Rather than brushing my teeth first or preparing my coffee first, maybe I would figure out what I was going to wear, or maybe I would, once I got Gizmo, then it was like, okay, now I gotta tend to Gizmo and kind of figure out, when do I feed him? Do I feed him first thing when I get up, or do I feed him right before I leave? And that kind of sounds also like a lot of internal chatter or whatever, but I was moving in a way that I was figuring it out as I was doing it. And I wasn't moving with such staccato motion. There was more of a flow of, okay, should I try this? Or how am I going to do this? And I found that there were many mornings that I would leave later than I had intended, but it would be okay. And always the time would I would make up the time some way in travel. I would have enough time before I physically walked into the building of my job, where I'd sit in my car in the parking lot and I would just be quiet. I would be still. Maybe I would pray. Maybe I'd listen to music. Maybe I would just kind of lay there and just take some deep breaths. I would intentionally let my body melt into the seat and relax all my muscles and reconnect with my body and make sure that I was releasing any tension. I gave myself a good maybe 15, sometimes I give myself 30 minutes of time to do that, where I would be quiet before I walked into the building. And I really appreciated that time. I don't do that now. I probably should, but I find that I take time throughout the day where I'll take a break. Maybe I'll take a little walk, get some fresh air, take some time to decompress. And I'm also doing a lot of different body scans throughout the day, checking in on my body, making sure, okay, is this jaw tense? Are my shoulders up? Should I relax them? How are my feet? How's my back? Because, like I said, physically demanding. So I'm paying attention to my body, hopefully before there are any aches and pains. Usually the aches and pains come, and that's a signal that red alert, something needs to be addressed. But I'm tending to my body before the aches and pains come. Part of what made me really, really drive this practice of slowness for myself was that I was noticing I was getting a lot more migraines. I've had migraines for years. I mean, all the way back to when I was a teenager. While there were periods of time, some years where I didn't have as many migraines, I recognized that they were coming back, and they were coming back frequently, at least once a month. I didn't like the feeling of being forced to slow down because of illness. I wanted my slowness, or I wanted my rest, to be intentional, something that I chose. I didn't want my body yelling and screaming at me saying, you have to sit down. I remember one time I had such a bad migraine. I came home. This actually happens quite a bit when I have migraines that happen at work, and they do happen quite a bit at work. And I had a migraine, and I came home and I took a shower, and I just immediately got in the bed. I just laid there, and I was thinking to myself, I don't like this feeling. I don't want to be pushed to this level. I don't want to be pushed to the point where I'm so incapacitated. And for me, it takes days, about 2, really 3 days before the migraine finally lifts, and then I feel better. I said, I can't live like this. This is not good. But one of the things that I do is that you'll notice, and I'll make sure that I turn the sound on so it's not just B-roll playing. But when I'm prepping Gizmo's food and when we're playing, I don't have the TV on. I'm not on my phone. I don't have any music playing. It's quiet. It's still. Even now, I mean, yes, I'm recording, but I find that I have a lot more quiet time where there isn't a lot of noise. When I'm driving, I actually drive with nothing on. I have no music. I have no podcasts. I have nothing going on. There's nothing that is playing. And I like that. It's these moments, choosing peace and stillness. I'm making this a new muscle memory for me, rather than kind of anxious energy and always thinking and always going and always doing. I want my content to be able to show a side of softness and stillness and slow pace. It's part of the reason why I'm so intentional about having basic video elements. Even though I do add B-roll, and even though I do edit, because a lot of times I'm forgetting what I'm saying, so I'm editing out the gaps where I'm trying to collect my thoughts, or I'm editing out moments where Gizmo is trying to get my attention. The overall structure of the videos that I'm making are very simple, because I want for there to be much more of a stripped down window into how the things that I've learned, the things that I have put into practice that I find are really working for me, and to be able to share that with you. And I feel as though when there's a lot of bells and whistles, then the message gets lost. Sure, I can have aesthetically pleasing videos. I've made them. I do love them. They're great, and I get to express my creativity through those videos. And I want to be able to have more purpose-driven content where the message is very important, and you're not focusing on the visuals so much, but you're focusing on what is being said. And my hope always is that there's some resonance that you feel in the message. And that can only be felt when it's stripped down and the message is purposeful and I'm slower in my presentation of it rather than making it all about the production. I appreciate creators that do that. I gravitate towards creators that do that. And I want to be a part of the community of particularly Black women creators on this platform on YouTube that add more of that vision and more of that voice so that other Black women can see whether or not they want to share their stories on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever the case may be. But they're able to see how it can look in many different forms. You're seeing my form, or I'm sharing my form with you. And there's plenty other of creators that are sharing what it looks like for them. When I first put this into practice, it was difficult. It felt a little itchy scratchy, kind of like, oh, I should be doing something. And then I asked myself, why do I need to do something? Why do I have to perform? I don't need that. That's not necessary. And for me, as a Black woman, as a Black queer person, learning how to be slow, learning how to be soft with myself, that's been a game changer. That's been a real game changer. I'm going to keep sharing what slowness, ease, peace feel like and look like for me. And I hope that you'll continue to watch. Please like, comment, definitely comment, because I want to know y'all's thoughts and opinions. Please, please, please share with me if you are working on slowing down your life, whether it's for a day or for an hour. What does that look like? How is that making you feel to slow down and pull some of that energy, pull some of you back in so you're not spreading yourself out? How does that feel? So comment, let me know. And subscribe if you have not subscribed. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you on the next video. Come on.